My name is Sylvia Robinson, and I'm here with my mom, my dad, and my sister, who are going to be sitting behind the camera.
Hi.
In a quote about Emma Stone, Andrew Garfield said, "She came in and she was like a shot of espresso. She was like being bathed in sunlight. She's incredibly energetic and enthusiastic, and she had a sense of play and fun, which was very exciting." The eloquence of this quote drew the attention of thousands, sparking an online internet debate about what it was about espresso that drew Garfield to give a quote this beautiful. Making espresso is an art, and in this speech, we will be discussing the steps of making that art. In the Encyclopedia of Food and Health 2016, espresso was defined as a polyphasic beverage prepared from roast and ground coffee and water, constituted by a layer of small bubbles. It was made up of an aqueous solution of sugars, acids, and a protein-like material with dispersed gas bubbles and solids. I've been a barista for 3 years, and in my time as a barista, I've had extensive training on the way to pull a, quote, perfect shot of espresso. There are many different steps to pulling the perfect shot, from the production and grinding of the beans to the water temperature and pressure, the tamping, timing, pouring, preparing, and even the death of an espresso shot. In this essay, we will be discussing what is espresso, how to pull a perfect espresso shot, and the way the espresso is prepared. Espresso is a strong form of black coffee created by forcing steam through grind-packed coffee beans called a puck. It's the fastest way to produce coffee, and it's often utilized by coffee shops due to its efficiency. Schmider 2023 said espresso brewing is a solid to liquid extraction process from a packed coffee bed called the puck. It was reported that 16% of Americans drank a coffee made with espresso in the last week, and 67% of Americans drink a coffee in the last day. When considering these statistics, one might wonder what goes into a cup of coffee, and even more specifically, what goes into a shot of espresso. A shot of espresso has 3 parts: the crema, the body, and the heart. If made in a clear cup, all 3 should be distinctly visible. So now that you know the definition of espresso and how prevalent its consumption is, let's talk about how to pull the perfect shot. A quick shot of espresso could be pulled in 35 seconds or less, but a well-crafted shot could take up to 2 minutes to prepare. There are 3 main steps to pulling a shot of espresso: the pull and grind, the tamp, and the timing. Coffee beans are put through a grinder that can be adjusted for finer or coarser beans. Finer ground beans are going to produce a shorter shot of coffee, and coarser ground beans will produce a longer shot. Schmider 2023 said that the grinding process defines the particle size distribution and the amount of coffee mass in the portafilter. Finer grinding increases the particle surface area in contact with water, enabling a higher extraction yield. What this means is that finer ground coffee beans are going to produce a stronger flavored espresso. Tamping is the process of physically condensing the grinds into what is referred to as a puck. This is typically done by putting the grinds into the portafilter and taking a stamp and physically condensing it with 25 kilometers of pressure, or about 200 newtons. Finally, the timing of the pull should be between 15 to 26 seconds. If water is allowed to run through the puck for shorter or longer than this time, the shot should be discarded. So now that you know what espresso is and how you create it, let's discuss the main ways that espresso is prepared. Most baristas will follow the 3 steps of flavor, shots, and milk when preparing a shot of coffee. First, you take your mix tin and you add your syrup. Then, you take your shot of espresso and pour it over the top and mix it. This will dissolve the sugar, which will allow the espresso to be properly dispersed throughout the drink. If a shot of espresso is left without being poured into the syrup or the milk within 15 to 30 seconds, it should be discarded because the shot will be considered dead. You know a shot is dead because when looking at it, you will see that there is no longer a visible distinction between the crema, the body, and the heart. Next, you'll pour your milk or your water over your solution of espresso and sugar. When doing this for a hot drink, you can do it all in a cup. However, when doing it for a cold drink, you should pour your espresso and your milk into a mix tin and add ice to your cup. You should then pour it back and forth a few times. This process is called tom-tomming. Now there are 4 main ways to prepare a shot of espresso: a latte, a breve, a cappuccino, and an Americano. Lattes and breves are pretty much the exact same: sugar, espresso, and milk. However, a latte is made with 2% milk and a breve is made with half and half. A cappuccino can be prepared 2 ways, as a wet cappuccino or a dry cappuccino. However, both are going to be hot. A wet cappuccino is going to be made up of more steamed milk and less foam, and a dry cappuccino is going to be made up of more foam and less steamed milk. Finally, an Americano is simply espresso and water, whether hot or cold. You pour your espresso into your cup and you add your desired amount of water. In conclusion, espresso is one of the most common ways that people around the world consume coffee. It's made up of ground beans, which are pressurized and placed into a machine that forces steam through them to pull a shot. A perfect espresso shot is made up of 18 grams of grind, 25 kilometers of pressure, and 15 to 26 seconds of water. A properly pulled shot should have a visible crema, body, and heart, and should be used within 20 to 30 seconds. So, the next time you go to order a cup of coffee, don't forget all the steps that go into pulling a perfect shot of espresso, and enjoy your next cup of coffee.